If you're looking to 10x your earnings, then you will want to stick around for the rest of this video. Hi folks, I'm Jordan and welcome to the Wise Money Women channel, where we help you to master your money and transform your life. Now, the national savings average rate is only 0.06%. So that means that for every $10,000 that you save, you will only be making back a measly $6. So that is not cool. That is not your money working hard for you. And so there are other opportunities available that can allow you to make so much more than that every year. And this is a technique that I use with my mom to help her to 10x how much she was making on her savings. And that is to use a high yield savings account. Now, these bank accounts, these savings accounts that are high yield accounts, are actually blowing some of these other companies out of the water. They're paying 1%, even 1.25%, which in the grand scheme might not sound like a whole lot, but when you're comparing it to 0.01% of your regular brick and mortar bank's checking account or 0.06%, then this is way better. You can just make so much more money with a whole lot less hassle. So the way that you can go about finding these high yield savings accounts is to just go on and Google and say, hey, I am looking for high yield savings accounts. And many of these companies are listed online. You can look at Bankrate or NerdWallet and be able to get access to some of these other banks. Now, you don't have to worry if you see a lot of these companies that you might not be completely familiar with. As long as they are FDIC insured, then you will know that if anything does happen to that bank, then you can expect that you will be able to get compensated up to $250,000. These high yield savings accounts with these online banks are able to make so much more in terms of interest rates that they can give to you because they don't have the regular overhead of a regular brick and mortar bank where there's rent and electricity and all these other utilities that they have to pay for. So those savings, they're able to pass on to customers so that we can get a higher interest rate and be able to make more off of our savings. But there are some things that you want to look out for when you are trying to use a high yield savings account. One thing is that you want to ensure that you are not just getting an introductory rate. You don't want to get that 1% interest rate only to find out that after 2 months, the rate is going to drop down to 0.25 or some number like that. You want to make sure that the rate that you're getting is going to be a permanent rate, or as permanent as we can expect, because as interest rates change by the Federal Reserve, then their interest rates are likely to change as well. But you want to make sure it's not an introductory rate. The next thing you want to look at is also to make sure that you're following the guidelines of what the minimum deposit requirements are. Some of them say that you need $10,000 to be able to get the rates. Some say $500. Some don't have any restrictions as to how much you will need to put in to get that really good rate. So you do want to make sure that you're keeping tabs on those numbers and that you're able to hit those minimums if the minimums are required. Another thing to look out for are maintenance fees. There's no point in getting a higher interest rate if your earnings are going to get eaten out by maintenance fees. So you want to make sure that you're keeping tabs on what is required to not have to pay fees on those accounts or get accounts that specifically don't have fees. And then finally, you also want to think about how you plan to use this account. So if you're just using it as a regular savings account, then you probably don't need a debit card. You probably don't need a whole bunch of checks. But if those are things that matter to you, ensure that the high yield savings account that you're trying to open, that they do offer those features. Otherwise, you're going to feel like you're not getting all the things that you need out of that savings account. And now for the don'ts of when it comes on to having high yield savings accounts. One, you want to make sure that you're not doing a whole bunch of rate hopping, because the difference between a 1% interest rate and a 1.25% interest rate really is negligible and probably not worth the hassle of having to move your funds from one account and move them to another account and set up all the direct deposits again and all these kinds of pieces. And then you also want to make sure that you're keeping tabs on how often you're taking funds out of that account. Savings accounts usually have a specific number of withdrawals that you can make every month in order to ensure that you are going to keep those rates. And if you end up making more than the number of withdrawals that they allow, they can charge you a whole bunch of fees for that. So you do want to also make sure that you're using the right type of account for the right type of activities that you need. If you're going to be pulling out of the account more than, say, 6 times a month or something like that, then you might want to be more on a checking account side rather than in a savings account. Now, some of the quick questions that folks usually ask when it comes down to savings accounts is, well, how do I put my money in the bank if there is no bank for me to go to? And many of these accounts allow for you to do ACH transfers, which means that you can set up and link from your brick and mortar bank to this online bank, and you can send money to your online bank, or you can have your online bank pull money from out of your brick and mortar bank. These don't cost anything for you to be able to do the ACH transfers, and most of them take just about a day or two for them to clear so that you can have your funds fully available to you. Another question might be, well, what do I do if I have a problem? I can't just show up at the bank and talk to someone. And this is part of making sure that the company that you are working with does have a good customer service team, because most of them, if it's a purely online bank, there'll be nowhere for you to kind of show up. So you want to know that there are things available that's easy for you to contact. So live chats, if they have them, access to phone numbers that folks actually do answer, where you can talk to a person, being able to send messages within your account, or just being able to email customer service are all ways that you can kind of contact your bank if you need them. And if you really think about it, when is the last time that you had a problem with your bank and you actually waited until it was open and went into the bank to kind of get it sorted out? Most of the time we end up just picking up the phone and just calling them and getting it sorted out anyway. So it's not entirely different from how you normally function with your bank accounts. And finally, always check around to see if there are promotions for opening these bank accounts. Some of these banks will allow for a $50 promotion or a $200 promotion to open up this bank account. And so it doesn't ever hurt really to just see if they have any promotions available so that you can get a little bit extra money to kickstart your savings. So in the description box below, I will link to some of my favorite high yield savings accounts, ones that I have used for some time and really enjoy working with, because they really just give me the opportunity to know that I'm working hard for my money and my money is trying to work as equally hard for me as possible. So if you like this video, then go ahead and give it a thumbs up, because YouTube likes it and it does help us tremendously in building this channel. And if you have not subscribed yet, then go ahead and do that. Hit that subscribe button and don't forget to hit the bell so that you can get notified whenever we add new videos to the channel.